Hello everyone, I'm Suvarna, working as an assistant professor of English at Government Degree College, Jammikunta. I welcome all of you to today's class. Today's topic is grammatical errors. So it's been quite for some time we have been doing grammatical errors. So far we have done grammatical errors related to the usage of subject-verb agreement, then prepositions of time and prepositions of place. So today we will see grammatical errors by discussing few more examples regarding the usage of prepositions. Let's start. Yes, so here are few examples. In the first example, the sentence is, I cannot agree to you in this situation. So as the first sentence here, I cannot agree to you in this situation. But is this sentence correct? It's not. Because the preposition to be used here is not to. Then what is the preposition we have to use here? Come to the next sentence. I cannot agree with you in this situation. So this is the correct sentence. So we are using with here. I cannot agree with you in this situation. But come to the next set of sentences, next set of examples here. The first sentence says, he agreed with with my demands. He agreed with my demands. So this is the first sentence, but again this is wrong. This is not correct because we cannot use the preposition with here. Then what is the correct preposition to be used here? He agreed to my demands. He agreed to my demands. So for your convenience, I have marked all the prepositions in red. So please observe. So here in the first set of sentences, when I use to with agree here, it's wrong, right? So we have used agree with. That is correct sentence. But in the second set of sentences, again, using uh, with agree has become wrong, and in the next sentence he agreed to my demands is correct, right? So in the first set of sentences, I cannot agree to you in this situation is wrong. Here he agreed to my demands is correct. In the first set of sentences, I cannot agree with you in this situation is correct, but here he agreed with my demands is wrong. So uh, there may arise a little confusion, right? When we have to use to and when we have to use with, because here in one set of examples using with is correct, and in another set of example is showing usage of to is correct. Then what is this case? So we can use agree to and agree with also, but the difference is when you mention person, that means, so when you are telling, when you use this agree in relation to a person, you have to use with here. When you use agree related to a proposal or demand or perspective, then you have to use to here. So that means when you use agree with when you use the preposition with, that means you are agreeing with person. When we use a preposition to, that means we are agreeing to person's proposals or demands or perspectives or ideas or anything. So when you mention person, then the correct preposition to be used is with. When you mention, when you won't mention person, but you mention something like proposal or demand or perspective or idea, then the correct preposition to be used is to, right? Yes. So here is other set of example. I'm going to read out the first example for you. She is waiting to the arrival of the postman. She is waiting to the arrival of the postman. So here, this is not correct, right? This is wrong. So she is waiting to. The usage of to here is wrong. We cannot use a preposition to here. Then what is the preposition we have to use? She is waiting for, not to. She is, I hope you can see the movement of cursor here. She is waiting for the arrival of the postman. So this is correct sentence. She is waiting for the arrival of the postman. And let me read one more example for you. This is also correct sentence. She is awaiting the arrival of the postman. Now look at these two sentences. She is waiting for the arrival of the postman. The same sentence can be written without any changing in the meaning, without using preposition also. So how can we tell that she is awaiting the arrival of the postman? Here we have used awaiting instead of waiting for. So we can, without changing any meaning, we can also give the sentence without using preposition also. So she is waiting the arrival of the postman is the same meaning of he is waiting for the arrival of the postman. So instead of using all this waiting for, you can just replace that with awaiting. So the meanings of awaiting or waiting for is one and same. So you can also write the sentence as she is awaiting the arrival of the postman. That means we can here simply, or we can skip the usage of preposition here by mentioning awaiting. Right. Then since and for. So this is maybe one of the most confused. Most most of the students feel it's difficult to choose between since and for, right? In most of the cases. So let us see what's the correct usage of since and for. When we have to use the preposition since and when we have to use the preposition for. So let me give you the first set of examples here. I'm going to read the first sentence. I have been waiting here from 3 hours. I have been waiting here from 3 hours is the first sentence. Is this correct? Definitely not. Then what is the correct sentence here? I have been waiting here for 3 hours. I have been waiting here for 3 hours is the correct sentence. So we cannot use from here, but we have to use for. The preposition to be used here is for. I have been waiting here for 3 hours. Okay, let me give the next set of examples also. The first sentence says, I have been waiting here for 10 o'clock. So in the previous set of examples, previous set of sentences, we have used for, and that is correct, right? But here look at the sentence. I have been waiting here for 10 o'clock, but this is wrong. This is not correct. So we cannot use the preposition for here. Then what is the correct preposition to be used here? I have been waiting here since 10 o'clock. I have been waiting here since 10 o'clock. So in the first set of examples, we have used for, and that is correct. But here, for using for is being wrong here, right? We have to use since. Then how? What's the difference? So why using for here is correct and why using for here is not correct? Why? Um, uh, what is the actual reason behind it? So when we use for, that means in this set of sentences we are using for and since, right? So when you use for, you have to mention the period of period of time of action, right? So how long the action has been continued, so you have to mention that. You for indicates period of time, whereas since indicates point of time of the action. So when did the action actually started? So you have to mention the point of time when you use since, and you have to mention the period of time when you use for. So here look at the correct sentences again. I have been waiting here for 3 hours. So here 3 hours is period of time, right? So that's why we are using for here. Whereas in this sentence, I have been waiting here since 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock is the point of time, right? So when we, as we are using point of time here, we are using the preposition since. So please remember, when you use since, you have to mention the point of time. And when you use for is to be used along with the period of time. For period of time and since point of time. Yes, this is also again another important aspect, between and among. Most of the students get confused here also regarding the usage of between and among. Look at these examples here. The cake is shared among all the students. The cake is shared among all the students is the first example. Let me read out the second example also. The cake is shared between the two students. The cake is shared between two students. So both sentences are correct, but the point is when we have to use among and when we have to use between. So we have to use between when there are only two persons or two objects, whatever it is, but there are only two things involved, right? Between the usage of between means the involvement of only two persons or two objects. If it is more than two, then we have to use among. If it is only two, we have to use the preposition between. If it is more than two, we have to use the preposition among. Yes, so if it is two, what the preposition we have to use? Between. If it is more than two, the preposition to be used is among, not between. Yes, so let us come to next line. Yes, so yes, this is also, today we are going to see all the aspects which are a little confused to most of the students, right? So here I'm going to read a sentence for you. I often go to school in bus. I often go to school in bus. So this is a sentence. Is this correct? Definitely not, right? So we cannot use the preposition in here. We cannot use the preposition in here. Then what is the correct preposition to be used? By, not in, but by. I often do. So I'm reading the correct sentence here. I often go to school by bus. I often go to school by bus. So this is correct sentence, right? So what's the preposition to be used here? By. But let's go to the second set of examples here. They go to market by foot. They they go to market by foot. But again, this is wrong. Then what's the correct sentence? They go to market on foot. They go to market on foot. In the first set of examples, using the preposition by is correct. But in the second set of examples, using by is not correct. But rather using on is correct here. Then what's the difference again? So let me read out the correct sentences once again. I often go to school by bus. I often go to school by bus. They go to, or let me, I often go to school on foot, right? So you can see the difference here, right? So by has to be used only when you mention a sort of transportation, maybe a vehicle. If you use any vehicle, a means of transportation, then you have to use the preposition by. If it's not, you are just, if it is just walking, then you have to use on foot, right? So when you use any vehicle or any means of regular transportation, the preposition to be used is by. So that's why the sentence is I often go to school by bus. But if it is just walking, you have to say it as not by walk or something. You cannot say. Yes, most of the students use like that, but that is a wrong usage, right? You have to say they go to, or else I often go to school on foot, not by walk. But if it is a vehicle, you have to say by car or by auto, by bus. If it is by, if it is just walking, you cannot say by walking. You have to say on foot. Yes. Yes, let's look at these sentences. I'm going to read the first set of sentences. He was afraid from cats. He was afraid from cats. But this is wrong, right? So what's the correct preposition to be used? We cannot use from here. What's the preposition to be used? Of, with, of. So he was afraid of cats is the correct sentence. We cannot use from, but we have to use of. Whenever we use afraid, we have to use the preposition of, of. Ajay is, I'm going to the second set of sentences. Ajay is so different than his brother. Ajay is so different than his brother. Yes, there is a comparison here, Ajay and his brother, but we cannot use the preposition. We cannot use than here. What we have to use? Ajay is so different to or from. You can use either from or to. Ajay is so different to his brother. Let's come to the third set of examples here. Suraj is getting off the bus. Suraj is getting off the bus. It may sound correct, but when you look here, you find the actual mistake. So, what's wrong here? The preposition to be is to be not OF of, but we have to use OFF of, right? That means he's getting down the bus. OFF of. OFF of always, most of the times it indicates a negative sense. So Suraj is getting off the bus. OFF, not OF, right? Yes. So it depends from you. It depends from you. Again, this is wrong, right? We cannot use the preposition from here. What is the preposition we have to use? We have to use on. Whenever we have to use depend, it has to be on or upon, right? It cannot be from. So it depends on you. It depends on you. Attend at your duties, please. Attend at your duties, please. So it can't be at here. When you use attend, you have to use a preposition to. Attend to your duties. Attend to your duties. Attend at your duties is not correct. Attend to your duties is correct. We have to use a preposition to here. I'm suffering. Yes, this is most maybe one of the favorite or most used sentences of the students, right? I'm suffering. Whenever they write leave letter, they definitely mention this sentence. So I am suffering with fever. Is this correct? Definitely not. So we cannot use the preposition with suffering. When you use suffering, we have to use the preposition from. So whenever we use suffered, we have to use the preposition from. So I am suffering from fever, not with fever. I am suffering with fever is not correct. I am suffering from fever is the correct one. So look at the correct sentences in these examples. It depends on you. It's not it depends from you. It depends on you. Attend to your duties. Attend to your duties. I am suffering from fever. I am suffering from fever. So whenever you use depend, you have to use on. You have to use the preposition on. And whenever you use attend, the preposition you have to use is to. Attend to, depend on, suffer from. Whenever you use the verb suffer, you have to use the preposition from. So it is suffer from. As in you have to remember that as a pair. Whenever you use attend to, yes, whenever you use suffer from. I prefer coffee than tea. I prefer coffee than tea, but this is not correct sentence. We cannot use. It's definitely a sort of comparison is here, a sort of preferring one thing over other is being mentioned here, but and we cannot use we cannot use than here. What we have to use? I prefer coffee to tea. I prefer coffee to tea. So the correct preposition to be used is to, to. I prefer coffee to tea. Geeta is senior than Sita. We are again here also we are mentioning one thing over another, but we cannot use than. Geeta is senior than Sita. So the correct sentence is Geeta is senior to. Geeta is senior to Sita. So the correct preposition to be used is to. He is superior than you. He is superior than you. Again, wrong. So what's the correct preposition to be used here is again to. He is superior to you. You can draw the pattern here, right? So whether it be prefer or senior or superior, the preposition to be used is to, nothing else. So if you have to use prefer, senior, the terms prefer, senior, superior, junior, then inevitably you have to use the preposition to and nothing else. You have to use the preposition only to, to. Yes. So he insisted to carry his own bag. But the correct sentence is he insisted on carrying his own bag. The correct sentence is he insisted on carrying his own bag. So when if we have to use insist, the preposition we need to use is on. Yes. So lunch, I'm going to read out the next set of examples here. Lunch consisted from sandwiches and food. Lunch consisted from. Yes, what's the preposition used here? From, but it is wrong, right? What is the correct preposition to be used here? Lunch consisted of, not from, but of. Lunch consisted of sandwiches and food. So we have to use the preposition of here. Again, it depends from, we have seen this sort of example, I think. It depends on you, not from you. So again, when you use insist, whenever you use insist, you have to use the preposition on. And if it is consist, you have to use the preposition of, right? And if it is depends, you have to use on. Okay. So these are yes. So for whatever the pairs we use here, I'm giving here in this one slide. So if you use the word depend, you have to use the preposition on. Okay, whenever you use this verb depend, you have to use the preposition on. And if it is attend, if you are using the verb attend, you have to use the preposition to attend to. And if it is suffer, you are mentioning the verb suffer, you have to use the preposition from. Whenever you suffer, it has to be with from, suffering from, suffer from. And if it is prefer or senior or junior, superior, inferior, you have to use the preposition to. And whenever you use afraid, it has to be with of, afraid of. Insist on, consists of, depend on. Okay, so look at these examples here. I'm going to read out the sentence for you. I deeply regret for my mistake. I deeply regret for my mistake. So here you can see the preposition for, but there are few sentences where I mean when we use such verbs, using prepositions is not a compulsory. So you can here you can manage without using preposition also. You can say I deeply regret my mistake. Okay, why we cannot use? I mean, why there's no need of using for here? Because regret itself means feeling sorry for, right? So you can say I deeply regret my mistake. No need of using the preposition for here. And look at the next set of sentences. My sister returned back from Delhi. My sister returned back from Delhi. But again, you need not to mention back here, but you have to say, you can simply skip this back here. You can simply say, my sister returned from Delhi. Or else you also can say, my sister came back from Delhi, because returning itself means coming back. You need not to mention back again. When you say return, you need not to mention the word back again, right? So returning itself means coming back, right? So you can use my sister returned. You can skip using back. Okay, you can just leave back. So my sister returned from Delhi. Or instead of returning, you can also mention coming back. My sister came back from Delhi. So in some cases, using prepositions really not necessary. So in the first set, we need not use for here. I deeply regret my mistake. And in the second sentence, you cannot. I mean, you need not mention back here. My sister returned from Delhi, or you can simply say, my sister came back from Delhi. So yes, so these are a few examples regarding the correct usage of prepositions we have seen today. So let's meet in our next class with some other topic. Please take care until then, and thank you so much.